vai seguir a apresentação do Guilherme, que também é uma apresentação sobre um trabalho académico feito aqui na Faculdade, mas entra mais no âmbito da elaboração de um projeto de gestão e organização do acervo de escultura, para evitar a diversificação das peças. O Guilherme Lopes apresenta sua proposta através da aplicação de QR Code. Então, o Guilherme, em inglês, Guilherme is a student of he finished his master's this month here in the Faculty of Fine Arts of Lisbon, and he also had a degree in Science and Arts and Heritage here in the faculty and the master. Actually, he works in the built heritage area. So, yeah.
Hello, my name is Guilherme Lopes, and the name of my project is Management and Organization of the Sculpture Storage Collection of the Faculty of Fine Arts of the University of Lisbon using QR codes. The sculpture storage of the Faculty of Fine Arts has sculptures from different contexts. 99% of the collection is made of plaster and the rest of other materials. In addition to the sculptures in storage, a large number of pieces are exhibited in the faculty corridors. Due to several factors, like the fact that it is a large collection and it's inserted in an academic context, there are some issues that need to be addressed as it could be of a concern in the future. The first one is the regular update of information. The inventory that is used currently was made several years ago, and this inventory is in part in PDF format, but it exists in its entirety printed inside the storage, which is currently the most used version. Due to this format of documentation, there is no easy and quick way to update existing information. For example, restorations carried out, information about moving sculptures to other rooms, offices, or even to other institutions. For this reason, most of these inventory sheets are now out of date, even though there have been several changes over the years. One of the solutions to this problem is the use of digital media to facilitate updating data. This information should be part of a system that is common to the entire faculty, creating a standardization through the INART program, already acquired by the faculty. The second issue is the physical location of sculptures inside the storage. These sculptures are in constant movement, and when they return to the storage, sometimes they end up not returning to their original location. This can lead to loss of information on the location of objects, and especially the fragments. As we can see in these images, we have several boxes with fragments all over the storage. In the existing inventory sheets, this location is very generalized, and there is a need to update it with more information with the exact location. And these issues originate the phenomenon of dissociation. The dissociation is one of the 10 agents of deterioration in a collection and was proposed and defended by Robert Waller in 1994. Dissociation is what happens when elements of a sculpture are in the same collection but are separated and we have no means to locate them. I bring two examples of two sculptures, O Esfolado on the left and O Gladiador on the right. Both of them don't have arms because they fell over time. The arms are in the storage, but there is no way for us to know exactly where they are from the inventory that currently exists. They are not directly linked to an inventory sheet, and because of that, they are just loose pieces. Since this information is not written anywhere, this could create a problem in the future. There's a gradual loss of information and documentation regarding these sculptures and where they are located. It's necessary to implement a new method of inventory using digital support and the method of identifying the location of sculptures and their direct connection to a system and its information, so that there is no longer any risk of loss of information as there is currently. To solve this problem, we propose the use of QR codes inside and outside the storage to to make a direct and quick connection between the sculptures and their respective information. QR codes or quick response code are codes like barcodes that can be read through the camera of our smartphones and that can make a direct link to a website of our choice on the time of its creation. These codes, when read through the cameras of our phones, takes us to the inventory sheet with all the fragmented parts of the sculptures and their correct location inside the storage. I bring a small demonstration of how easy it would be to use a QR code. First, we must activate the QR code reader function on our phone if it has it. If it doesn't have it, you can download an app. Then we need to point the phone camera at the code and click on the link, and we can go directly to the page in question. QR codes have several advantages, such as the fact that they can be printed in very small size without losing readability. They are easy customizable, and when creating them, we can choose different features such as color, shape, or even images and logos. In the case of this project, we chose to use the FAO logo to give it more character and distinguish them from others. One of the great advantages is the speed with which we can link an object to a website that contains information about it. In the case of managing collections and storages, QR codes allow not only easy and quick access to information, but also help in locating sculptures in just a few seconds. And finally, the fact that they are contactless. In times of pandemic in which we live, there is an increasing need for distancing, and the use of QR codes in museums exhibitions is the ideal way to transmit more information without having to have a physical contact with other equipment that traditionally exists in many museums. While there are many advantages, there are also some disadvantages to implementing these QR codes in this specific sculpture. This process is very time consuming and needs many hours of work to be achievable. In this specific case, the lack of labor is also a disadvantage. There is no one in the faculty with enough time to implement these codes. The fact that internet access is required to read these codes is also a disadvantage that can be visible in the storage because the Wi-Fi network doesn't cover the entire space of the storage and phone data doesn't work. Lastly, the in-art program has already been purchased, but it has not yet been officially implemented by the institution. It would be essential to first introduce the information into this system and at the same time implement the QR codes. One of the ways to combat dissociation is the identification of the location of the objects in the collection and their direct connection to a digital system. Generally, this identification is done by marking each object with the inventory number. The information given by the traditional signage ends up being limited. However, we can add a QR code system to increase the amount of information present in each sculpture or even in fragments. For this to work, it's necessary to create a unique QR code for each inventory sheet and connect it to the various points of the sculpture, such as the inventory sheet, the physical location inside the storage, and all the fragments. Using QR codes, we are less likely to have unreadable information compared to traditional methods, since the QR codes have an associated error correction function, and even in bad conditions, the decoding software is able to decipher the code. QR codes can be used as a tool in combating dissociation because they facilitate the connection of parts of the sculpture to their information and therefore their reason for existing. To be able to show how this system works, we created QR codes linked to some sculptures that I will show you later. And in order to give the examples, it was necessary to create a temporary website to insert the information about the sculptures. Now I'm going to show the desktop version of the website. And right here, I have a video that I made in my bachelor's degree. So I thought it was good to use it. And down here, we have all the inventory sheets that I made for the master's project. And it was 6 of them. And if we click in one, we can see the inventory sheet, which is updated, and I will show you later that, and all the floor plans with the location of the sculpture inside of the storage, and also on the corridors. When creating this website, we also made it usable via mobile, since it is with phones that we can read QR codes. Here we can see some images of how this site looks on mobile. Through the links acquired on our website, we were then able to create QR codes to ensure the link to each inventory sheet. For this, we use the Unitag platform. The code creation process is very simple. First, we have to enter the link that we acquired on our website, and then we can choose the look and color and add a logo. Finally, we can save the code and give it a name. This code is then available on our account, which we previously created, and we have the option to download it. The entire procedure takes about 2 minutes to do. Once we have created these links on our website and the QR codes, we can move to the most important source of information that is used in this storage, the inventory sheets. They are where we can have access to photographs of sculptures and other important information, such as dimensions, location, among others. This is the current context of the inventory sheets made by Professor José Viriato. Our aim is to update this information and improve it using QR codes. For us to use QR codes to their fullest potential, there is a need to update these sheets and add more information like the exact location of the works and the fragments inside the storage. We can also add the codes to their respective inventory sheet, and this can also be useful for those who consult the physical version, which is always available inside the storage. When the inventory sheets are up to date, we can then insert them on our website. Here we have an example of the updated sheet that I just showed you, and that has the image of the sculpture, the QR codes, and also the fragments. The code on the right is functional, and if you want to scan it, you can also do that. We can also have other types of information on our website, such as building plans, like I showed you before, with important information with the location of the sculptures and the location of the fragments. This is good because we can have a complement to this information through a visual scheme. Here we have an example of 2 floor plans. The one on the left is the location of the sculpture in the floor. And the right one is where the fragments are located inside of the storage. Here we have an example of a sculpture that is on display in the corridors of the faculty, but in a different floor. And here another example of several copies of the same sculpture that constitute only one inventory sheet and are in the storage, and therefore only have the floor plan of the storage. After we have our QR codes created, we must apply them on the shelves next to the sculptures and fragments they correspond to. As we can see in the first image, there is already an identification system for the sculptures, which consists of the inventory number glued with Velcro to the shelves in the storage, but it has not been fully implemented yet. The goal would be to continue this system throughout the storage by complementing it with QR codes. One of the proposals would also be to create unique QR codes for each of the shelves or group of shelves and boxes that have several small fragments, such as arms and fingers, that are separated from original sculptures. And this way, having more types of information. On the left, we have the images of the implementation of the codes inside the sculpture storage and next to sculptures and fragments. And on the right, we have 3 examples of the QR codes on 3 sculptures that are displayed on the corridors of the faculty with the QR codes that I added. When creating these codes, we can also print some extra with different dimensions, which can always be available inside the storage next to the physical inventory. This way, when you need a new code to signal a fragment, you can always get one pretty quickly. One of the many uses and benefits of QR codes in managing museum collections is the fact that they can be used as a tool for identifying sculptures when they are lent to other institutions, something that happens quite frequently in this storage. We can put the QR codes in the existing faculty label and have access to information on the origin of the sculpture, which exhibition it is in, and its expected duration, as well as information on the number of copies that was borrowed. These codes can also be used to give visitors of those exhibitions more information about the sculpture. Finally, on the right, we have an example of what it would look like to use the QR codes. The ultimate goal would be to implement this project, and for this to happen, the process of creating QR codes and the inventory update must be carried out simultaneously, which would greatly benefit the sculpture storage and solve the currently existing dissociation problem. Thank you very much, everyone.